Hello and welcome back to the Gerry Joe Leeds United show. I'm joined here by JK and James and Debbie. We've just sort of the last 5-10 minutes. I think we're probably all the pulses are probably racing a wee bit still. Just sort of it was a bit dodgy, but we will be happy. In the end, we got over the line 2-1 to Leeds. I'll get your initial thoughts, JK. What's the thoughts on what do you think of it?
I think relief, Gerry, more than anything else. Overlook a bit. Keeper made a couple of good saves, but we could have won by more. In fairness, it was one of those games. We've had a few of those this season where we've probably been slightly lucky. In all honesty, there's other games we maybe should have got more and haven't, so it sort of evens itself out over the season. But if you think about the Burnley game at home, we were a bit lucky, I thought, to get 3 points. Sheffield United away, could argue maybe as well. And today, I'm sure there's many Newcastle fans, and maybe some Leeds fans, we think the same way. We rode our luck a bit, I thought. But overall, as somebody said on social media or to me, doesn't matter. It's 3 points. It's 3 points more ahead of Newcastle. And now we're starting to look at teams around us thinking that's another 3 ahead of them. And we've a game in hand over them as well, and others below us. And particularly with the Leicester game coming up, I'm of the opinion if we get anything there, and I mean a 1-0 defeat, we'll be doing well. They're just playing so well, Leicester, at the moment. So it was fairly crucial to get something tonight. I'm delighted with 3 points.
And what do you think yourself, Debbie?
I've no nails left. Yeah, we needed the win. I'm absolutely over the moon. We got the win. How we got the win, like JK says, sometimes you have to grind the results out, and I think we did that tonight. I thought first half we were in control, and I thought early second half we'd grab a goal and go comfortably. But then I thought second half Newcastle really stepped it up and played us off the pitch, to be honest.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that. What's your initial thoughts, James?
For the first 20 minutes, I thought we looked pretty comfortable, to be fair. Thought we was in control of the game. Thought probably should have, maybe scored another. Same old story, as you know, 1-0 in any game of football is never a good scoreline. You always know that team, certainly the home team, always going to have a spell in the game. But I thought the second half, we was really below par second half. But you look at it, as JK said, it's 3 points above Newcastle. I think you probably look at Sheffield United, West Brom, and think that they're probably already gone now. And you've got to be looking at teams like Palace, who got beat tonight by West Ham, and Newcastle. They're teams that are going to be probably there or thereabout for the relegation. So as long as you can keep bridging that gap between them, then tonight's a good result. And again, we found a different way to beat them. At Ellen Road, we probably played them off the park, probably deserved the scoreline. Tonight, no one would have argued if they'd have got a draw or even the win, to be fair. I honestly thought they were better than us on the night. But we just really dug in and ground out the result, and that's all that matters, 3 points. As we said last night on the show, 1-0, 5-4, 6-5, it doesn't matter. You've got to get those 3 points, certainly against the teams around you. And I thought we showed probably a different side to our game.
I think in the show last night, there was definitely somebody predicted 2-1. I'm actually thinking it was me. Was it me? Was it?
Congratulations, I made money on it.
And you're thinking, so I was going to praise somebody else, but actually, it was me. I was right, so I'll take the praise for that one. So just on the game, obviously one thing that I want to get to first is Llorente. Is he unlucky, or is this something we should have seen beforehand, James?
Well, obviously the medical stuff you see with Michael Saison's, they found an injury in his foot which no one else had found. So we're obviously very, very thorough. I just think you maybe look back at Jurgen Klopp in his first season at Liverpool. Certainly the players who were first arrived, they struggled to get up with fitness. A lot of injuries, just the sheer volume of training, the intensity of training. I just think he's been unlucky with that. Obviously, tonight he's done his hamstring, which is not the actual original injury. But as you know yourself, when you sort of weaken one part of your body, you overcompensate, and I think that leads to other injuries. And I think obviously that's what's happened tonight. You know, I was talking to Debbie earlier about it, and I was trying to explain that obviously these guys go through vigorous fitness tests before they play a game, so they're obviously fit, feeling fit, looking fit. But playing a game of football with the turns, etc., is completely different to actually just running up and down, or etc. It's completely different. And I think obviously we all thought he was fit, but as soon as he got on the pitch again tonight, unfortunately he's broken down again, which I really didn't like. The left-footed centre halves. I thought that really unbalanced us. I have to say I do like the fact of a right-footed player and a left-footed player, which obviously we're pretty fortunate to have two left-footed players with obviously Cooper and Strauch or Struick, however you want to pronounce it. But I thought with two left-footers, I thought as soon as that happened, I actually thought that we looked a lot weaker. That was just my opinion on it, anyway.
Yeah, I as soon as he went down, I just got the stats head on, and I actually went on to the Transfermarkt website, and I had a look to see his stats over the last couple of years. Last year he missed 8 games to muscle injuries. The year before he missed 6 games to muscle injuries, 6 games to ankle injuries, and 3 games to hamstrings. And in 17-18 he missed 2 games with muscular injuries. He's never, in the last 4 years, he hasn't played over 30 games. I'm starting to look at it and kind of think, is this guy's injury prone? And thinking, is like Bielsa's training a bit too much for him? What would you think of that, Debbie?
I totally agree. I mean, when he went down 8 minutes in, it was like, no, not again, seriously. I mean, we know that the training's vigorous. I don't know. I just think maybe it was a game too soon for him. But yeah, me and James have disagreed about that tonight as well. Yeah, I honestly don't think he was fit, but that's my opinion.
Yeah. And saving this one for JK about the challenge in the first minute from Stuart Dallas on Shar. I thought myself, as soon as I seen it, I thought straight away, if it happens at any other time in the match, it's probably a yellow card. But it also took me back to, if you remember, the qualifiers for, I think it was the last World Cup 2018. Switzerland against Northern Ireland. Shar fouled Dallas. I know all the Northern Ireland fans thought it should have been a red card. Do you think there was a wee bit of revenge in that one, JK?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think there was a little bit of putting a marker down. And then obviously we move on towards the end of the game with Mr. Rodrigo and Shar, obviously the blood that he had on his face. Yes, he caught him. Again, with the way VAR is at the moment, it slows down. You look at it, you think maybe another time that could have been a red card, but it was very accidental. Despite the fact he quite a bit of blood in his face. I mean, the Rodrigo challenge, but the comedic effect, the dancing on ice rehearsal that he was doing was fantastic. That way he went down, got a big for it, but did he really care? He just wasted a bit of time. But maybe to get on to Lorraine as well, I think the guy's been incredibly unfortunate. If we had a fully fit squad, based on what I've seen tonight alone, I think Liam Cooper probably knows himself, despite the fact he's captain, he'd probably be on the bench. It probably would be Coughlin Llorente starting. Cooper I know he splits opinion, and I don't know about James and Debbie, how they feel about him. Maybe they've already said themselves they have minor disagreements, or maybe major disagreements about players and things that go on, but I'm interested to hear what they have to say. Me personally, I think he's a Leeds fan through and through. Obviously, he's done get where he is. However, my heart is my mouth at times with him. It's whether it's that the sales corner that come in again another day, that could have been. You've seen those giving us penalties. The grappling, the two of them were at it, but you've seen them giving us penalties to the attacking side, and some of the passing at times as well. And he holds his hand up, and it's like the same. It's too often for my liking it happens. So I can see the rationale, because he probably wanted to get Llorente fully match fit, probably thinking that he's going to bring Robin Cock back in again pretty soon after he get, we'll give him a couple of games to get him up to full fitness, but he'll first choice. And if Llorente could get him a run of games, I think the two of them would probably be the first choice centre halves, with Cooper and Struijk as reserve if required. In fairness, I agree with James about Struijk. I think he played quite well tonight, but yes, and that looked unbalanced at times. The ball coming out of the air and the control. I think something that we're seeing this season that we didn't see very much at all in the Championship. I don't know whether it's the Premiership. I'm not too sure whether it's this. The amount of misplaced passes that I am screaming at the TV. Why? And I'm a bit stronger than that. Constantly. It's a thing I've picked up over the last number of games. The ball's just given away. The goal that they scored, we could have avoided tonight. And definitely they had one or two half chances and chances based on corners that came in. And again, it sort of looked like the sort of game that Andy Carroll was going to come on with a couple of minutes to go. They got a corner, and he's done it so many times at numerous clubs. I was panicking from that point of view. So, and then when Dwight Gale come on, he's another one that always seems to score against us. So, but overall, to go back to the start, we have to be happy despite Llorente injury. But that's going to be him out for probably a couple of months now, unfortunately. So it's going to be that sort of imbalance again. It's good that we got 3 points because we need to get those 3 points on the board as we can get between now and sort of that very tricky spell we have towards the end of the season.
I've just been chomping at the bit to come into your question about Liam Cooper, actually. I've been really... just kind of my opinion on Liam Cooper. I thought when we first signed him, I could see a player there. There was just a few sort of the basic mistakes that he kept making, which I thought could be eradicated. I thought certainly the first season and a half with Bielsa, he really got rid of those mistakes out of his game, and he looked really a short centre half. I thought, but I've noticed in recent weeks, I do feel like the basic mistakes are coming back into his game, which I don't like. I'm like yourself, JK. I do worry. I actually thought tonight, as a whole, he looked as good as he'd looked maybe for a long time. There was the tug on the cells, which worried me. There's obviously the headed back pass that Meslier did well, but as we know, he's got that in his locker. But I actually thought he did okay tonight. And again, I've been very critical of him the last few games. I feel like we look a little bit suspect when he's played recently. I actually prefer Hayden as captain personally. I really do. Mm-hmm. I think Hayden looks better with the captain's armband, and I think he organises us better. I think, like you say, Cooper's a great servant to the club. Obviously, Leeds fan through and through. Obviously, players like him, Dallas, Alioski, etc., they'll go down as cult heroes. They brought the club back where we should be. But I just think players like Alioski's proven tonight, maybe Cooper over the course of the season, unfortunately, they're just not going to be the players that's going to take us on to that next level. And that isn't discrediting them. That's just saying that, unfortunately, that, we are in a better league, playing against better players week in, week out. And unfortunately, you can't make these same mistakes that you make in the Championship. In the Championship, you can get away with these mistakes. The quality's not there to punish you. Certainly in this league, you're going to get punished. And just before we move on, the question about Andy Carroll, we had this conversation with Gerry last night on the show, and I can't for the life of me understand why Newcastle didn't play with Andy Carroll. Certainly our weakness being crosses in the box, corners, free kicks, whatever. That's where we struggle, and that's where he's good. I didn't understand leaving their best aerial threat on the bench when that's our weakness. It just didn't make any sense to me. And looking at their squad, looking at how they played second half, I can't help but think a better manager could actually turn them around with the players at their disposal. But that's just my opinion. You guys might disagree. I'd like to see what you guys think on that matter.
Somebody mentioned Lampard tonight. A Leeds fan mentioned Lampard on social media. Not sure. Put it like this: Lampard will get a job elsewhere somewhere. Somebody's going to take a punt on him, because he's going to want to prove that Chelsea wasn't a job too big for him, even though I thought it was. And the derby will not go there. But he's been already linked with a couple of clubs, Celtic, and possibly Newcastle as well has been mentioned today already. So he's going to get some. But I think Bruce's days must be numbered. That they have to be. What is it now? They've lost 9 out of 11. Is it something like that, or 9 out of 12? You cannot.
They haven't won 11 games now.
Yeah, you just can't sustain that. When I did listen to a couple of comments tonight, and I agree fully. They look like a team, despite the fact they had a good spell, and I agree with you 100% on that. And yes, they could have won the game, which is ironic. But overall, I think the heads are down, and I think they look, although they played quite well tonight, they still look a team already beaten when they come on the pitch. Some of them, the heads are down, etc. So, but we'll see what happens with Mr. Bruce.
I think Newcastle fans will probably be a wee bit got it if they end up with Frank Lampard whenever Rafa Benitez is out of a job.
Well, yeah, they say never go back, but
to be fair, looking at their squad, I actually think it could turn them around. You can turn them around, Benitez. They've got, on paper, they've got an average Premier League squad. I think they can do better than what they're doing. They've proved that second half.
Well, they certainly did second half look a decent squad, didn't they?
Yeah. But they do have, both of you have said it, and Gerry as well. They have a half decent squad. It's not that they don't, and the players who while they haven't brought a whole lot of new faces, so they do have players that could probably dig them out of a hole, but it might have to be somebody else at the helm to help them to do that.
I think if there's one reason for Newcastle to stick with Steve Bruce, it might be the fact that your man Saint Maxim, or whatever you call him, he come on there, and I don't know about you guys, but every time he got the ball, I was watching between my fingers. Like we mentioned him last night, and he played 8 minutes, I think, at the weekend. He come on tonight, and he looks brilliant. Like, he looks a fantastic player. If they let him,
let's be brutal. He took up the piss at times, didn't he?
We couldn't cope with him.
Yeah, he is good. Like, he's very, very good. And if they get him, I think Callum Wilson's a good player. I think the wee guy Almiron that scored the goal is a good player. So if there is a reason to keep him, it's keep let him get a run with that guy St. Maximin. But 11 games unbeaten, it's definitely dodgy times. One thing I wanted to touch on as well was I was talking earlier about the click didn't start, and Debbie, you mentioned before bookings. So do you reckon that was the reason he didn't start? And then I have to admit, whenever he come on and he fouled a guy, like within a minute, I thought he's going to get suspended here. Do you think that was the reason he didn't start?
I don't think we got a chance to comment last night, me and James last night, about it, but I think for the last sort of month, I'd been saying to James that I thought he was tired. But then when you look at the stats after the game, he's been one of our better players, shall we say. But we both did feel that he needed a rest. We were quite surprised when we did see that he was rested tonight. But then when you look a little bit deeper, I think probably Bielsa thought, yeah, we probably need him for the next few games, and tonight maybe silly booking, etc. But yeah,
I think tonight was the final game for the 5 bookings. If he'd got booked tonight, he'd have been suspended. Yeah. You see, I think it goes to 10 bookings after tonight, which obviously is a big reason. But before the game, I thought that the reason that he dropped Click might have been because of the 2 strikers. The last 2 or 3 games have played with Carroll and with Wilson, so I thought obviously they'll drop Phillips back to a centre half, play 3 centre backs, and maybe put Dallas obviously in defensive midfield. I thought that was the reason, and as the time went on, I realised actually tonight was the turning point, or the final date, should I say, when 5 bookings counts. So I think probably the provider was not to use him at all, but I think certainly 15 minutes into the second half, we had to get control of the game. I just said to Debbie, I don't think we'll bring him on unless we really needed to, and I actually thought probably it was the right time to bring him on, just to try and get control of the game again. I thought, obviously, we mentioned this guy last night, and we did say that he hasn't done it week in, week out, he hasn't done it enough, but I mean, easily for us, I thought Rodrigo was our best player. I thought it was, and to be fair, even Debbie not his
I think
biggest
he
fan.
was. I think he tuned in Gerry last night, and he thought, I need to get a bit more involved, and he did tonight.
He did. No, he did. He played well. I was actually watching as well, and there was a few times whenever I know James mentioned about his work rate, and yeah, there were times where he put in a good shift, definitely. So onto the goals. The first goal, I was like watching it back. I think we've lost James and Debbie there for a minute, but I'm sure they'll be back. But so the first goal then, Rafinha. Whenever I was watching it, I was like, I watched back the replay, and there's the guy's back. Yeah, I watched the replay of the goal, and it showed you obviously Alioski winning the ball in the midfield and then playing it wide. But the thing that stood out for me was Rafinha's run. He was like miles behind the play, and he came from miles and miles back. And then as soon as he got to the 18-yard box, he just slammed the brakes on and really demanded the ball. And obviously, Rodrigo found him, and he was able to find the bottom corner. What did you make of that goal, JK?
Yeah, it was we've seen a few of them score like that this season, and no surprise really. I thought you mentioned there the tackle. Alioski can do that on occasion, as can others, and it was good offensive play. And sometimes James already mentioned there we can be very wasteful up front. At times we can be very clinical, and that was one of those occasions. I was delighted. I think he's a smashing player. I think we've got a real bargain there, and I think he's going to go from strength to strength. I think he's one of those players that other clubs will be looking at, whether it's within the Premier League or other leagues. They will be looking to see, could they tempt Leeds with an offer. He's one of those players. I think genuinely, I don't know. We're obviously not a selling club so much as we have been in the past, but I think if somebody, he seems happy, he seems settled. So he's no reason to go, but I suppose he's ambitious as well. And if he thinks that there's maybe a better opportunity elsewhere, maybe going abroad again to Spain or Italy or something like that, then I wish him well. But I think he's going to be around for a while, Rafinha. But I think he's a smashing player. Looks good. When he's on it, he looks very, very good. He has that sort of maybe sulky mentality, a wee bit like Rodrigo. When things aren't going well, the heads go down a bit. But overall, I agree with Joel. I mentioned Rodrigo tonight. Thought he was fantastic. Thought he had a very, very good game for us tonight.
Yeah. What did you think
about the goal with Rodrigo again? I think we're all coming together there.
No, I was just going to ask you what you thought on there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think it's just the timings. Just with regards to Rodrigo again and sort of the first goal, I thought it was interesting. I don't know if anyone else noticed. Maybe when the ball came to Rodrigo on his right foot, a lot of players looked to hit that and maybe smashed it into the defender. But he actually had that quality and composure to actually bring it back onto his left foot and pick out that pass. As you said, Gerry, fantastic run from Rafinha to get into the area and find the space. But I just thought the awareness and the composure of Rodrigo to pick out that pass. Again, is there many players in our team who would maybe look to do that? I'm not sure there is.
I think there's no denying he obviously he played a key part in it. So obviously the second half started and we've already sort of said about how floppy we looked. It was obviously a really disappointing start to the second half.
Yeah. He's celebrating.
Celebrating with
as well, Gerry, aren't we? Hey.
Nothing wrong with that.
Sorry about
So the second goal, their goal, sorry. Then I think I had the feeling that it was coming. It just looked like it was like the way it was going. We couldn't anytime we tried to get the ball out of the box, it didn't look like we were getting too far. And eventually, obviously, they got the goal. We were caught in possession. We caught them in possession. So it's hard to complain sometimes whenever, it was kind of the same thing. It's like they done what we do to teams. We caught them the high press, and to be fair to them, it was a pretty good goal when it came. Do you think there was anything we could have done better, Debbie?
Yeah, definitely. I think Bamford could have controlled it better and done a better ball, to be honest. I think it was just silly mistakes. Silly mistakes were giving goals away, to be honest. And that's not like us. I was quite disappointed with the goal. I mean, yeah, it was a good goal. He finished it well, but he should never have got in the position to finish it.
And just on Bamford, James, obviously he was took off quite early. What did you make of that? Do you think that there is maybe a stage where Bielsa is kind of softening on maybe introducing someone else in attack, or do you think that it just wasn't his night, or he just wasn't 100%? What was your thoughts on it?
To be fair, I'm probably the best person to ask this question to, because I'm probably Patrick Bamford's biggest fan, and I have been for the last 2.5 years. I think a lot of his work off the ball has gone unnoticed. Honestly, I really do rate him. Even when he's not been scoring, I think he's been fantastic. He's key to how we play, the real high press, the holding the ball up. I do think that it's been key to our success. And again, I think a lot of people don't realise that because sometimes the goals weren't there. They think that he was poor. I don't think that was the case. Obviously, I was fortunate to play the game at a high level, so I do kind of understand it a little bit. I do really appreciate the work he did. So yeah, I've been his biggest fan. But tonight I was his biggest critic. I thought tonight everything that he'd been good at for the last 2 years, he kind of lost. Holding the ball, working, controlling. He just didn't look himself. Like I said, he didn't offer anything for the team. I think if you look at the two substitutions in quick succession, the Alioski one, he gave the ball away, which nearly led to a goal. And then Bamford gave the ball away, which actually did lead for the goal. And obviously Bielsa brought him straight and brought Roberts from, who actually I thought did really well. To be fair to Roberts, he's taken his criticism. The last 2 games, the Brighton game and tonight's game, I think he's done well when he's been brought on. But just to kind of sum up the Bamford question, I thought he was absolutely appalling tonight. And I actually think that was probably his worst game in the Leeds shirt for 2.5 years. I thought he was shocking. And again, I'm his biggest fan. Woeful.
What do you think of the performance yourself, JK?
From Bamford?
Yeah.
I tend to agree with James. I would defend him. I wouldn't be his biggest fan, but definitely would defend him at times over social media or in person when we were allowed to do such a thing pre-COVID. But definitely tonight, I thought, what's going on? He wasn't holding the ball up. He gave the ball away, as Debbie's already said, for the goal. And Bielsa does tend to forgive very quickly, but as James has said, both Alioski and Bamford were taken off very, very quick. That's a Mourinho type of thing to do. Very quick to react, very quick to sort of take somebody off if they do something wrong. I think he got annoyed with them. Both of them had made over the piece, but I think that was the crowning moment for both of them. He thought, no, this can't continue on. And I agree that Tyler Roberts has done well in both games. And again, social media over the last number of weeks, every time we hear Roberts mentioned, even on the bench, people are annoyed, let alone him being brought on. But you know what? He's probably done a lot of he's probably repaired a lot of the damage that he maybe has done to his own personal reputation. He's not a bad player. Again, he's another one. If he's on it,
he's technically very good.
The whole game last year away. If he is on it, he is on it. He's a good player.
Away,
yeah. Leeds saw that last, something in him when they bought him. They paid a lot of money for a relatively young player. So I'd like to see him coming good, but that Derby link won't go away. I don't know whether they will. Well, apparently they've no money, but I don't know whether he will go elsewhere on loan. I know there's only a couple of days to go. Just to give him freshen things up a bit for him.
I don't think he'll go, to be honest with you. I think Bielsa rates him, and I think Bielsa obviously could use him in the squad. As proven the last couple of games, I think we definitely need him. He gives you that extra option. Just going back to the whole game, this is where the Bamford kind of Roberts or argument comes in.
Bamford
I actually thought for 70 minutes, Bamford worked his, we'll say socks off. He worked his socks off for 70 minutes, and Roberts came on, and then he really used his pace and punished their defenders and got his 2 goals, which he thoroughly deserved, took them very well. But Bamford had battered their centre halves for so long in the game, whereas tonight Roberts came on to take his place. their centre half had an easy game, very, very easy game, and that's not like Patrick Bamford. He normally will give his centre halves a problem. He'll push him about, he'll drag him about. He just didn't seem to have that desire about him tonight. I don't know. I'm really, really disappointed.
Yeah.
Really disappointed tonight. I'm saying, as with Roberts, I'll be sad if he goes out on loan. I really think we need to keep him in the squad.
Personally, James. Yeah, personally, I don't think he will, based on even the last performances. I think if he hadn't played the game, I suspect we all have the opinion that he had COVID. Does it sound like he was another one that did mediate
he did have COVID. Yeah, he did have COVID.
Yeah, there's a couple of players apparently have had COVID, but they've been at pains to sort of keep it under wraps. It hasn't been right across the squad, like Newcastle, for example, have had to have. But I think there's about 3 or 4. I would listen to the Square Ball podcast, and they say they know another couple of names, but they've been sworn to secrecy. They're not allowed to say who, but I don't know who they are, who we've been missing. Maybe Llorente again, because he's not played. But there's been, and obviously with Rodrigo as well. But we know about those. But they're saying there's another 1 or 2 people have had COVID, but it's all been kept under wraps for whatever reason. But
I do know that Costa had COVID when he got left out of the squad a couple of weeks ago. I do know that was one of them. That was.
Oh, was it? All right, okay.
But that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Costa was definitely one of the players.
Right. Okay. News to me. There you go. You're the man with the know.
Leslie came in and nearly got his head knocked off twice.
There was a couple of times that there was one where I think it was Wilson, and he kind of looked at him as if like I never touched you, but whenever you seen it in the replay, like the full boat went right into the face, and obviously when you're looking at like head injuries and you think back to the time.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
Just on that point, I think the referee tonight was very, very lenient with Newcastle changes in general. Like, he seemed to blow up for practically every challenge that we put in. And there was times I definitely said we won the ball there. And that's another free kick. What for? Saw the replay, and you just still scratched my head, wondering what it was for. He was very, very well.
There were a couple of Phillips challenges that weren't even free kicks in dangerous areas.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, I know the one. Actually, there was one in particular where the play. I think it was
one where Max
and he kicked the ball himself.
Fell over his own feet.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, he kicked the ball on himself, and actually the momentum took him, but he blew it up. Based on the referee's performance, we shouldn't really be criticising. I suppose we've won, but ultimately, I think if the 4 of us were chatting about a defeat, I know Anthony Taylor would be getting a lot tougher time. And I'm giving him a tough time as it is, but he'd be a tougher one for me because I thought he was very lenient towards them. Let a lot of things go, including the Callum Wilson thing that you're referring to.
Dallas comment. I thought you was. Yeah, I thought about your Dallas comment. Obviously, you and Gerry talking about the tackle in the first few minutes. I can't remember the player for Newcastle, but just before that, one of their players should have been booked as well for a very similar tackle. I do think it was very lenient, in terms of that. But I thought that, that's how he's going to ref the game moving forward. He was going to let things sort of develop and let things move. But as you say, he seemed to blow up for everything. Yeah. Every little push, every little shove, he seemed to give fouls for. He never let the game really flow. And there was certainly 2 or 3 in the second half where that he gave them free kicks when they weren't free kicks. And I always judge things, and I'll say to Debbie, I always judge things on whether, if it was the other way around, would I be appealing for him? And that's how I kind of determined the decision. And I thought there was 2 or 3 decisions that I really wouldn't have been appealing for, that I thought he gave very, very softly. And as you say, I think the defeat, you're talking about a different story, and you may be talking a little bit harshly about him. But again, I don't think he refereed the game very well at all. And again, any referee, if you're talking about a referee after a game, he's not done well. All you want to do, if referee get mentioned, he's done well.
The booking on Rodrigo at the end, where was it Rodrigo?
Oh yeah, that booking on Rodrigo at the end, I didn't understand that either. Shah he called him, kind of squared up to him, and he kind of booked Rodrigo. I didn't get that booking at all. I didn't get the booking. I just couldn't understand that. I'm not sure what he saw or what he determined to be yellow card, but no, not for me.
Well, I think simulation potentially for Rodrigo, just that he went down so dramatically. I think I think he was just annoyed with him. I mean, Anthony Taylor was just annoyed with Rodrigo,
Maybe.
thinking to do that. I don't know. I'm only second guessing that. You know.
So
Maybe.
the winning goal, then the one thing I wanted to talk about on the winning goal was we had the ball right on the left hand side of the pitch, and at first I didn't even notice Rafinha, but like he was, sort of like normally like the conventional football thing would be the ball's on the other side of the pitch, come in a wee bit. Rafinha, his heels must have been on the touchline. He was right so far over to the right, acres and acres of room. He came inside. I actually thought at first it looked a wee bit similar to the goal he scored against Everton, where he didn't have an option and he just hit it. And in the end, obviously, Harrison, was the option. Brilliant pass, and we all know that Harrison likes to get his name in the goal of the month competitions. Fantastic goal. What did you make of that one, James?
Yeah, I thought it was a good goal. Took the goal very well. I actually thought he reverted back to Rafinha on the right and Harrison on the left, which I think are the best sides. Obviously, for the Brighton game, he switched them and put Rafinha to the left and Harrison to the right. Obviously, Rafinha likes to cut in on that left foot, as you've mentioned. The Everton goal, he came in from the right and hit it. His goal against West Brom, he did the same. Even tonight again, he made the run from wide to inside. So everything from Rafinha's point of view, I think he's better drifting in. Harrison probably hasn't got that in his game. Harrison's best attributes are his work rate up and down the pitch. Again, on that left-hand side, that balances us. I thought, as you say, the skill and the pass from Rafinha, the goal, absolutely sublime. Very, very good finish from Harrison, which I have to say I didn't think he performed very well at all tonight. I thought some of his passing was atrocious. He gave the ball away so much, but in the day, if he's going to get onto a pass like that and finish like that, score the winning goal, who am I to complain? I just didn't think he offered enough during the game. But I suppose when you score and win the game for your team, what else can you say?
I think you say obviously his work rate is one of his best attributes. One thing I've noticed about him is like it doesn't matter what speed, what angle, where it's coming from. I just, in terms of his first touch and his control, is absolutely brilliant. Like
brilliant.
Probably anybody else in the Leeds team.
He's the best in the team.
Yeah. Anybody else, like that pass, it was coming at him an awkward way. And yes, if he takes a good touch, he's got the opportunity for a shot. But probably anybody else in the team wouldn't have had that touch and been able to, get that shot away. It's just fantastic. There's a few balls coming at him, and he's just so good in that way. I'm just looking at the scores in the other game to see
Man City. That really frustrates me because he's so much potential. He's got pace, he's got strength, he's got the work rate, he's got the first touch. He can score good goals, as we've seen. He can assist as we've seen. But the only problem is he'll put in 1 out of 5 good crosses or 1 out of 10 good crosses. And if he could just get that final ball, I think he could be a really, really top player for us. I honestly do. He's got so much potential. I don't see it enough in the game. The goal, spectacular, fantastic finish. As you say, there isn't many players in our team, if anybody, who can bring that down and hit it the way he did. But just maybe for you, Gerry, do you think that he performed well in the game as a whole for 90 minutes?
No, I don't think he did. He's one of these guys where he doesn't. As you say, it's a lot of to do with his work rate, and he works hard and he plays. He's good in that way. He's not necessarily like the kind of guy like Rafinha who is going to like really have standout moments, highlight moments, and except apart from obviously his finishing at times. But no, I would tend to agree with you. But he wasn't particularly good. But that will bring me on to sort of the last question for you. I think I know James's answer anyway. I think it's going to be Rodrigo. I think it was going to be Rodrigo anyway. And JK, if it's anything to do with the last day, Adam Forshaw didn't even play tonight, but he's probably JK's man of the match. But I'll go with Debbie. Debbie first. Who was your man of the match?
You don't like him, but go on. You don't like
No,
him.
it's not. I don't like him. You listened to me last night. You stepped up. Yeah, I thought Rodrigo was probably the best player on the pitch. I thought Ayling probably the first 20 minutes, but then after that, I think the rest of the team we were under the cosh literally for most of the second half. Yeah, Rodrigo, obviously Rafinha, very exciting. Yeah, his assist and yeah, I'd say Rodrigo.
And am I right, James? You're saying Rodrigo, are you?
That's killing. Sorry, Gerry.
Am I right? You're going to say Rodrigo?
Yeah, this isn't it. Yeah, it's not to do with the banter we have with Debbie, but honestly, from a footballing point of view, obviously Rafinha scored a goal, assisted a goal, which is why BT gave him it. And again, you could probably understand that.
Rafinha likes the burgundy shirt.
Yeah. But I just feel like for the whole game, I did say last night, and I said before the game, I thought on a big pitch, I actually thought that would be Rodrigo's game. He did the same at Villa. When he can find them pockets of space and pick out them passes like he did all night tonight, to be fair, I think the majority of people probably watching that game would either give it to Rafinha for his goal and assist or to Rodrigo. And I'm going to give it to Rodrigo because I thought he was the best player on the pitch, throughout the 90 minutes tonight for us.
And JK?
Yeah, well, I'll tend to agree with James and Debbie. He's come in for a lot of stick over the last number of weeks. And James has sort of pointed out about Bamford and Rodrigo. There's a lot of work rate that they put in that's missed. And as a result, it's just like, what are they on the pitch for? Social media can be a horrible place when you're a Leeds fan, and it must be even more horrible when you're a Leeds player. Some of the stuff that's written there. I think notable mentions, maybe Melier, a very good game, a couple of good saves, do him the world of good. I thought his distribution overall looked a bit better tonight. A couple of games in recent times, he's fluffed a few lines, but tonight he looked like your heart's your mouth at the odd time. You see, whenever that head injury at one stage, I thought, Keiko's time. No, so was glad when I saw that he got up and
thank you.
Indeed. I think again, just another mention. I think if I'm getting the surname right, Struik. I think he came on in difficult circumstances. Wasn't probably expecting to be playing, and I thought he looked very measured, very calm. Again, he's another player. If he plays well, it's noticed. If he plays poorly, he's a scapegoat. And there's some players that Harrison, another player, I think is wrongly criticised far too much. He puts an awful lot of work in. You can see he's worked on his fitness. He's worked on his strength. His upper body strength is phenomenal.
His work rate is phenomenal. Work rate.
Yeah, exactly. So
quality that lets him
overall,
down sometimes, to be fair, though.
What's that? Sorry, James. Is what, sorry?
No, I was saying his work rate. I mean, you can't question that. His work rate is phenomenal, and I don't want to make. I'm certainly not a critic of Harrison. I believe he's got a lot of ability, and I find his work rate's there. I just find that maybe the quality at times he just lacks that. He lacks it at times. I wouldn't ever make him a scapegoat, but there is a fair argument that at times he does lack that composure and quality that we need.
I think that's why he is a scapegoat at times, because there is a frustration, because people can see that he is a very good player. He was at Manchester City. They tend to buy duds overall or have duds through their academy. Therefore, and it looks like he's going to sign for us in the summer full time. And I would say that's going to, Rafinha's, if he stays, Costa, he's going to do very well to get back in the team, I think, let alone have a position at Leeds going forward. So we're talking about this earlier on, the squad, who are going to be the fall guys, who are going to go in the summer, and Costa potentially, despite the fact we shelled about 50 million quid, could well be one of them. And somebody will take a punt on him. Somebody will spend, probably lose a couple of £1 million on him, but somebody will spend £10 million on him, whether it be another Premier League team or somebody looking to go up division will spend that money. Definitely. But yeah, no, overall, Rodrigo, because he has had a tough time over the last number of weeks. And again, people saying we can't believe we paid £29 million for this player. What? But he's out of position. He's a striker. I think he. I know against Crawley he got he had a half and he didn't look. And people then criticised him again further because of that. He needs a run, and maybe, just maybe, the same way there was hammering when for Nketiah to get his chance. Maybe Rodrigo should get a chance front to see how he does, and play Bamford where Rodrigo does. That's what I would do.
I think we touched on it last night. Rodrigo is genuinely a very good footballer. He's a very good footballer, and not just wherever he plays, whether you class him as a 9, as a 10, or as a 7, or as an 11. He's a very, very good footballer. There's no some of his turns and his control. He makes it look very, very easy. Which some of them maybe not as he makes it look. To be fair, I think he's been signed to cover so many. He's not a direct replacement for any kind of player. I just think he's brought in because a player became available for £27 million, who's a very, very talented footballer. I think that's it in a nutshell, to be honest.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
What about yours, Gerry?
Well, I would have given it to Rafinha, but you all give it to Rodrigo, so that's fair enough. To me, Rafinha to me is that he's that kind of player just that I just love. He's the reason I love watching football players like that. Just get the ball, take it on. It's what I enjoy the most. But ultimately, man of the match, whatever. 3 points is all that matters. And personally, I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to go now and get a celebratory takeaway and enjoy my night. Which there was times in the second half I thought I might not have been doing that. But,
yeah.
Exactly.
But
cycling, but you wouldn't be laughing now because there's about 20 or 30 cans down there.
But also thanks to the JK, James and Debbie for joining me, and hopefully anybody that's watching enjoys it. It'll be on YouTube. I'll post later links in the podcast link as well, so it'll all be on there and people can watch. But I'll hopefully be back on Friday or so, and we'll have another wee sort of talk about this match and look ahead to Leicester. But as I say, thanks to the guys, and enjoy your night, Leeds fans, because it's a good 3 points and another 3
Thanks
points
for your
closer.
time, Jerry.
Yeah,
thanks. Great to meet you, JK. Lovely.
JK,
Nice to meet you.
Yes, cheers. Send us out.
Let's
Thank you very much.
win until Sunday.
Absolutely.
Okay, guys,
Fantastic.
thank you.
Cheers.
Good night,
All the
folks.
best.
Thank you.
On.
Bye-bye. Bye.